At this point, Iran can no longer distribute weapons to its proxies in the region. And most importantly, Iran will not be able to acquire nuclear weapons. The president's red lines, namely the end of Iranian enrichment in Iran, have not changed. And the idea that President Trump would ever accept an Iranian wish list as a deal is completely absurd.
Iran begged for this ceasefire this morning, a big day for world peace. Iran wants it to happen. They've had enough. Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory on the battlefield. President Trump had the power to cripple Iran's entire economy in minutes. He chose mercy. He spared those targets because Iran accepted the ceasefire under overwhelming pressure. The previous Iranian supreme leader, dead. The Supreme National Security Council secretary, dead. The Supreme Leader Office advisor, dead. The Supreme Leader Military Office Chief, dead. The Defense Minister, no longer with us. The IRGC Commander, dead. This new regime was out of options and out of time, so they cut a deal. Now we have a chance at real peace and a real deal.
That was Press Secretary Caroline Levin and Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth today on the 2-week ceasefire. The administration says U.S. forces will be helping to keep open the Strait of Hormuz, that Iran also will not get a nuclear bomb, that they will take care of Iran's nearly 1,000 pounds of highly enriched uranium for atom bombs. Axios reports Iran's hardline Ayatollah instructed his negotiators to move toward a deal. Joining us now, former counselor to President Trump, the one and only Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne, we always love having you on the show. Thank you for joining us. What's your reaction to this deal? What do you expect from peace talks in Islamabad? We should point out the president is underscoring the deal with a 50% tariff on any country supplying military weapons to Iran. That means China. What do you say?
Well, thank you for having me, Liz. It's a historic America First victory. When President Trump was asked at the outset of the war 38 days ago, Liz, why are you doing this? He laid out the rationale quite transparently and quite unequivocally. When he's asked what would define winning, what are the goals, he's achieved those. So I think that the transparent way this president and his team have brought us all along, explaining which NATO allies have been dependable and helpful, and which ones have just been harumphing and crossing their arms and not being helpful, not allowing us to use our own bases and our own airstrips that we pay for in their countries. And the president has also awakened the world to a fact that many people may have not realized, which is we are an energy independent nation, and others are dependent on the Strait of Hormuz. 80%, roughly 80% of the fuel that goes through there goes to Asia. A chunk of it goes to Europe. So the president's been asking our allies to be helpful as well. I also want to amplify what the press secretary said today. The idea that Iran can so bamboozle members of the American press corps into believing that part of a ceasefire agreement would include America negotiating, let alone capitulating to Iran having enriched uranium, getting anywhere close to nuclear capability again, after through Operation Midnight Hammer last June, Liz, and Operation Epic Fury over these last 5+ weeks. The president has made very clear that's been the entire rationale, and he has achieved that. So it would be great if those who can't always support this president, can't always bring themselves to even support America on that day, if they would give the benefit of the doubt to America in its victory over Iran. The last thing I want to say is this has been a huge victory for our military. You and I have talked before. We know, you cover it daily, how demoralized and decimated so many of our law enforcement have felt. Our border agents, Border Patrol agents, our local law enforcement, certainly our military, our brave men and women in uniform, our veterans, our military spouses. Liz, this commander-in-chief and his team are looking out for them. Recruitment for the armed forces is up 15%, the Pentagon says.
We want to show the results here.
Yeah.
General Dan Kane, the U.S. and Israel took out 90% of Iran's navy and weapons factories, 95% of Iran's naval mines, 80% of Iran's air defenses, 80% of its missile-making facilities, and nuclear industrial base. So, if Iran doesn't stop, should President Trump seize Karg Island? Should he put U.S. troops on the ground to take out Iran's enriched uranium for atom bombs? What do you think?
Well, all of us have made clear from the beginning, well, all of them, those in charge have made clear from the beginning, nobody wants to have boots on the ground there. We don't want to have U.S. troops there. But the president holds the Island card, obviously, and Iran knows better than to not take him seriously and literally on all of it. But I feel that he's achieving those objectives absent the need to do that in the current moment. I think the condition precedent is what you just said, Elizabeth, which is, will Iran not behave? Will they not comply with this? And I think the president also warning everybody else, if you so much as help Iran, if you're another enabler, the way past U.S. presidents have been, sending pallets of cash and making nuclear deals with them and looking the other way as they have been anti-Israel, anti-America, if you so much as help them, we will tariff you. We'll make you feel the economic pain.
Yeah,
I'm very hopeful for the
tariffs.
negotiations in Pakistan. I'm glad the Vice President Kushner and Wickoff will be there. And the president has set the table nicely for them with this deal.
Thank you so much, Kellyanne Conway. Please come back soon. We love having you on. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.